Hello, I am going to give you step-by-step instructions today on how you can take a DVD and repurpose it into a rose. Really fun project, super easy to do. One thing to know is that you do have to use DVDs. CDs will not work because you actually separate the disc and CDs will not separate. So DVDs are definitely what you need. There are different variations of DVDs. The rewritable discs kind of have like this bluish tint to them. A pre-printed disc has more of like this like silver tone to it. So for today's project, I'm going to go with the blue because I like the color. So I'm going to show you step by step everything that you need to know. I will include a list of the different items that you'll need, tools and whatnot, to make this really easy process for you. I hope you enjoy. So here is a list of the items that you're going to need in order to make these roses. One, you're going to need a candle and a lighter, or you can use a heat gun, whichever you prefer. You're going to need a pair of needle nose pliers and a thin screwdriver. You're going to need a good pair of scissors. Of course, you're going to need DVDs and a butter knife. You're going to need a pair of work gloves to make sure you protect your hands. You're going to want a cloth with a little bit of a texture to it. You're going to need a hot glue gun, and then of course you're going to need your pan for boiling water and something for them to set in, like I said, for about 5 or 10 minutes to help them separate. So for the first step, what you're going to do is you're going to take your DVDs that you're going to use to make the roses, and you're going to put them in a pan, and you're going to take boiling water, and you're going to pour them over those discs so that the glue that sandwiches the two pieces of the disc together can soften up and then easily separate with a butter knife. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to let these soak here in this hot water for about 5 minutes. And then we will take and separate them, which I already have one here that is ready to come apart, the blue disc that I wanted to use for today's project. So I have a butter knife, I have my DVD. All I'm going to do is I'm going to run the butter knife along the edge of the DVD, and it will kind of set down in there, and if you apply enough pressure, it will slide right in the middle of the disc. So see how I just slip that in there, and then it will separate the DVD into two different pieces. Now you have the one side that's kind of the clear side, and then the other side that has kind of the silver stuff still stuck to it. So these are the two pieces that we're going to use to make our rose. What you can do is you can take and separate a whole bunch of DVDs and then have all of the same colors. You can even go through and take all of your clear ones, set them aside, mold the pieces that you want to mold, and then paint them before you put them together as the rose itself. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to separate some of these out so that we can get started on actually cutting the pieces and forming the pieces. Okay, so here I have 2 of the discs that have been separated, and it takes about 2 of the pieces per rose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them into pieces. You're going to end up with anywhere from, I would say, 9 to 12 pieces per rose. So I'm going to take first and I'm going to cut this in half. And for the center portion of your rose, you want to have kind of a odd shaped longer piece that you can roll up, and it will become like the center coiled up piece of your rose. And then you're going to just take some pieces here. You're going to take a scrap off there, and then you're going to cut a few more pieces out of that disc. And what you want to do is you want to have different sizes based on the different layers of the rose. So you're going to have a few smaller ones, and then you're going to gradually go to bigger pieces and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the second disc up. And I'm going to make these pieces just a little bit bigger. Do one small one there. And 2 bigger pieces here. Okay. So, now that you have all of your pieces cut, next thing you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to round off all of the corners on here so that you have pieces that look kind of like that. And what it's going to do is when you heat that, you're going to bend it and you're going to mold it, and it's going to take on the shape of like a rose petal. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut all of these pieces up so that I can get them ready to heat them up. Okay, now that I have all of my pieces shaped with rounded edges and are ready in different sizes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our centerpiece. Now, if you look at the DVDs, it's going to have 2 different sides. You're going to have the side that you want to be shown on the outside of the rose, and then the other side that would be towards the back of the rose. So make sure that when you're forming your petals and you're forming your centerpiece, that you have the right side outward instead of inward. So what you're going to do with this piece is you're going to start heating it up, and you want to do this really carefully because you're not trying to catch it on fire or melt it all the way. You're just trying to soften it up a little bit. And actually, I'm going to put my gloves on here so that I can protect my hands from the heat. And you're just going to warm it up to the point, and you'll start to notice that the plastic will start kind of softening up a little bit, and it will kind of start to lose its shape. And what I want to do is I want to take my screwdriver here, and I want to kind of bend that soft part around the screwdriver to start forming the little bit of a curl to the center of the rose. So I'm going to go ahead and get this nice, and you just want to do a little bit at a time, so that way you're not getting too far ahead and you're not softening up the whole piece and then it just kind of all loses shape. And you just do a little bit at a time. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm right towards the end here, and I'm going to use my pliers so that I can hold it over the flame to warm it up without burning my fingers. So I'm going to go ahead and finish molding this last little bit, and then I'm going to be able to kind of shape it a little bit better in the middle as well so that I can get a really nice form to the center part of my rose. And you can see I'm kind of using my pliers here to kind of like bend out the edges a little bit to give it kind of a texture and a design that suits what I'm trying to accomplish here with the center of my rose. So once you're done with that, your finished piece should look something like that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to set that part aside, and now I'm going to start working on the individual petals. And for the petals, I won't need the screwdriver, but I'm going to keep my pliers handy just in case I need help molding. And what you're going to do is you're going to, again, just hold those individual pieces over the flame. And when you start seeing the plastic relax a little bit, then you'll start trying to shape it and mold it into the design that you're trying to accomplish. So you'll start by taking your finger in the middle of the petal and forming it around your finger so that it gives it a nice curve, okay? So you'll almost have like a spoon shape to your petal. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the edges, and this is where the textured rag comes into play. And you're going to go to the corner of the petal, and you're going to heat it up, and then I'm going to pinch with my rag and bend the corners. And what it's going to do is, I don't know how well you can see that, but it gives it a little bit of a texture imprinted from the rag that I'm using. So I'm going to do this around all of the edges and corners of this petal to give it some texture and some curvature so that it will set nicely around the centerpiece of my rose. And all you're doing is just heating up that little bit of plastic there and then pinching it to form it, okay? All right, so when you're done, what you'll have is a really nice piece that has texture and curvature, and what it's going to do is when we get ready to assemble everything, it will set really nice around your center curl there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get these other pieces melted so we can get it ready to assemble. Okay, so after you are done forming all of your different petals, this is either the opportunity if you are using like the clear portion of the disc, like the top portion. This would be like these ones. Like this would be your opportunity to paint them or whatever you would, you know, coat them in. If you choose to, or if you're doing like I'm doing, I chose to keep the purple tone to these ones. And what you're going to do is you're going to start assembling your rose, and what you're going to need is your hot glue gun. And you're going to start off with your centerpiece, and you're going to take the smaller pieces and just start gluing them directly to your centerpiece here. Like so. And you're just going to slowly start working your way around. I like to do 3 pieces in the middle to start off. And just kind of set them however they'll go. Okay. So just like so. So you'll start off with your centerpiece here. And the good thing is of course with a hot glue gun, it gives you a little bit of give. So after you've got it set there, you can kind of like manipulate it to however you want. So then I will start working my way around with some of these other pieces. So once you're done hot gluing all of your different pieces together, this is the end result. This is what you get. And you can always go through and, you know, add a little bit more glue here and there where you need to. But as you can see, super easy project to do. And they really are. They're very, very fun. They're a very creative thing to do with old DVDs. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy to do what I can. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy making these DVD roses. Thank you so much.